Chapter 5. Dealing with others. Everyone has experienced it, you hardly come into contact with others. How do you make contact with strangers? What do you talk about during a first contact? How do you get into a conversation with people who are already in full conversation? Why should you always be grateful? After reading this topic, you will find it easier to make contact during a network meeting. With these insights, making contact will be easier. You will be more confident taking the first step. You will discover that gratitude makes it easier for you to arm yourself against difficult moments. And that with gratitude you go much further. If there is one thing where you have to get out of your comfort zone completely, it is making contact with others for the first time. It could be the moment where you feel like you're more confident than ever. And the next time it may just be that your greatest wish is to become invisible immediately. How do you make the first contact? The next thing I want to give you right now is the fact, a grateful person cannot have anxious feelings. Let this statement sink in. If you are well aware of this statement and you live and act upon it, you will find that you can connect effortlessly with anyone, anywhere. Hold this thought. An important part is in the preparation, say warming up before you make the first contact. During the preparation you have already visualized the meeting completely. The better you do that, the more you feel at home and the more confident and relaxed you appear. This is the correct starting point. With the right warm-up you are better able to be active outside your comfort zone during the entire meeting. You have already made some eye contact and sympathetic contact with fellow participants. You've made your rounds. You have made contact with the organizer and some employees. You have some anchors outstanding among the attendees. You have your goal in mind. You know how many new people you want to make contact with, and you may also have a number of specific people in your picture that you should definitely talk to. You are now all set and warmed up to start networking. But what should you do now? How do you address the first new contact, and how do you stay upright if that all goes wrong? Or how do you untie yourself when that first contact completely claims you and takes your precious time? Let's start with making the first contact. Thanks to your warm-up, this is really as easy as described earlier in Chapter 1. You look around and see people in the audience whom you have characterized as anchors. All you have to do now is walk up to that person and extend your hand. Because that person also recognizes you, a pleasant introductory meeting is an almost obvious logical consequence. But what next? You are here to make many contacts. So you have to move on within a few minutes to make as many new contacts as possible. This is where the power of gratitude comes to your aid. What is the power of gratitude? However the conversation goes, you look for a moment when you can thank the other person for what he means to you. That may sound a bit strange because you have only known each other for a few minutes. Yet you can let the magical power of gratitude work for you right here. You thank the other person for taking the trouble to talk to you. You emphasize that you can appreciate that and that you like it, especially at the beginning of the meeting where you don't know anyone. Note, you say you don't know anyone. You now show yourself extremely vulnerable, but that is precisely why you automatically radiate self-awareness and self-confidence. The audience will be surprised. He just saw you make eye contact with everyone. You have nice contact with the employees and you have just come from a meeting with the organizer. How can it be that you walk around here so easily when you're new? What happens now is that because of your vulnerable attitude, thank you, with a little surprise, the other person will definitely be more sincere and open. How do you open doors with gratitude? Now the door is open for a substantive good conversation. Unconsciously, the other person has an urge to talk to you more. Whatever you ask now, she will give you a serious answer. So if you continue to show interest in her activities, he will tell you about it in detail. If you ask for a ticket you will get it immediately. And above all, if you ask who else she knows here, she will quickly put you in touch with them, often before you even ask. What happened here is that by being grateful you cannot have fearful feelings. You show yourself vulnerable, but you don't feel that because you are grateful. You therefore automatically radiate self-confidence. This arises whether you like it or not. There is no other way. And therein lies the profit. People like to move on with confident people. They grow with your self-confidence and dare to be themselves much more in your environment, because you also dare to be vulnerable and are grateful to the other person. Few people can resist that. And I don't think you will get any further with the individual who does. Not now. Never ever. How do you stay grateful and positive? This brings me to the moment that can be an absolute attack on your self-confidence. The moment you wish you were somewhere else. One day it will happen. You arrive well prepared for the meeting. Does everything as described. Approach the first person and slap, the conversation immediately freezes. You don't get out of your words. What comes out of your mouth is total nonsense, and your conversation partner knows how to knock you out of the field with one look. It's a mystery to me why some people do that at networking meetings, but these inaccessible people are really there. It is even worse if it happens in a group where you are collectively ridiculed or ignored. This happens to me every now and then. It always touches me. I do not like that. In fact, I think it's awful. Over time, I've come to the conclusion that the individuals in question are extremely insecure and hide that uncertainty behind their abusive behavior. The reason is not so important. The agitated feeling remains the same. What is the solution to still make the meeting a success for you? The answer again lies in the power of gratitude. Whatever happens to you, find something you can be thankful for and say it. Be careful not to become cynical, because that will only prolong the moment of misery. It doesn't really matter what you express your gratitude about. Find something easy. Say something about the organization or the location that you are always happy that there are people who are committed to a meeting like this or something. It doesn't matter what you say something grateful about. Just be thankful for something. What matters is that your hurt feeling and maybe even anger should disappear as soon as possible. You need to get back to the positive feeling that comes with your good character, self-awareness, and self-assurance as soon as possible. How you do this and how this works is best compared to looking left or right. It simply cannot be done at the same time. That is also the case with your feeling. If you are grateful, you cannot have anxious, red hurt feelings. By expressing your gratitude, your feelings of hurt and anger immediately disappear as they are replaced by feelings associated with gratitude. Positive feelings. Feelings that belong to your pleasant character, self-awareness, and self-assurance. If you get used to doing this, you will soon be able to turn annoying, negative feelings of shame, hurt, anger, etc. into feelings that belong to gratitude in seconds. Even the biggest insults can slide off you with this. Do you want proof for this? Just look at great leaders. They know this and act accordingly. In the most difficult moments they are always grateful for something, because they know that only then you will progress. Their greatness comes directly from gratitude. What next at the network meeting? You have made your first contact. The person is completely willing to talk to you. You have a nice contact, so what? How do you take the next step to the next person you want to get in touch with? This, of course, without offending your first interlocutor. You don't want to and you won't. What you will do is continue to build on the contact with the other person. First of all, you already asked him if she knows others. If so, then the bridge to get in touch with that other person is easily built. All you have to do is go there and refer to your first contact person. However, you now have a courtesy aspect. You have to give your first contact the space to let yourself leave in a dignified way. After all, she also needs to make further contacts. Or the other way around, if she starts claiming you all the way, you have to break free in a way that is acceptable to both. Whatever the situation, the solution that will help you further is in a third person. You are going to do something in return for your first contact person. That starts with the question, who would you like to meet here, or from which industry would you like to meet people? There is always an answer. A dignified way of saying goodbye is then with the words, "That's good to know. If I'm going to talk to people who meet your needs in a minute, I'll put them in touch with you. Bring." If you now extend your hand, bow in this corona time and thank the person very much for the first contact, nothing is wrong. She will even see it as an advantage that you go, because that way you can make new contacts for him. Attention, do this too. As soon as you speak to someone who meets their wishes, make sure that contact is made. Another dignified way is to literally physically involve a third person in the conversation. By that I mean really involving someone outside of the two of you in the conversation. How do you do this? Consider for a moment that there are many people walking around at the network meeting who would like to start a conversation, but they do not want to succeed. You can immediately see if someone is searching. As soon as you see such a person, often out of the corner of your eye, you make contact, reach out your hand, read his badge and out of the blue introduce him, mentioning his name, to the person you are talking to. Then briefly explain who you are and ask the new interlocutor about his interests. You are now talking to the three of you. If you now say goodbye to the other person at a desired moment, you not only leave them behind, but you have even contributed to making a new contact for that other person. What happens now is that you make a special impression on two people in just a few minutes. You have only just started and already have 2 tickets. Where you started outside your comfort zone, making the first contact, now feels comfortable again. So it's time to step further out of your comfort zone and move on to the next contacts. And who will they be? You still have a few anchors outstanding. This has now been supplemented with a number of contacts that your first discussion partner pointed out to you. You now also have information about who your first contact person is looking for. You will notice that it is now much easier for you to get in touch with many. From now on, this can sometimes happen so quickly that people will stop by to speak to you as soon as you can get some time off. It is seen that contact with you very easily and quickly leads to contacts with others. That's what it's all about for everyone present. Summary. Making contact with others for the first time sometimes goes smoothly and naturally. And sometimes it is a direct attack on your self-confidence. You now know why gratitude is so important. A grateful person cannot have anxious feelings. You now understand that the first chapter on preparation will help you approach others. By starting immediately with short eye contact before or during arrival, making contact with the organization and employees, you are already fully warmed up. The transition to approaching unknown co-participants then goes without saying. And if you involve a third party in the conversation, you contribute to making contacts for others. Then you can easily free yourself to make the next new contact. What comes next? Chapter 6, Body Language.